the PNM and Mr. Watson PDP. And if we look at the data, right, there is a very, very, very great chance of the PDP taking the Tobago East seat. And let me just give you some rough, not precise, but rough calculation of what the data is saying. When Mr. ran in 2015 against Diana Webster Roy, he received a total amount of votes of just over 50. Let me say about 80. For want of a better, I don't have the number. And Diana beat him about 500 by 5,000 something. She got 6,000 something. But by 2017, when the THA election came around, the Duke won 2 seats and lost one by 5 in Tobago East. That's good with Belle Garden by 5 votes.
Yes.
And did significantly well in the Mason Hall seat. And if you understand the geographical spread of Tobago and how it is divided in terms of Tobago East and Tobago and Tobago West for the national level, when you reconstruct the 2015 election into East and West for the general election, Mr. Duke accumulated over 5,000 votes, and the opposition votes in Tobago reduced the lead that Diana got by just about 200 and something votes.
Really?
2 years. Yes, that's what the data said. So you understand the growth, the magnificent growth of the PDP from 2015 to 2017. And if the level of disenchantment and that is in Tobago is real, then we can see that playing out itself in a real upsetting victory. When I say upsetting, on the part of the PNM for the PDP in Tobago East. The West is a little bit more challenging for the PDP. The West is a little bit more challenging because Mama Coco, you will know that the revolution, the political revolution in Tobago always started in Tobago East. That's why Robinson dropped his anchor
in Roxborough. Yes, in the East.
Roxborough is always the battlefield for political revolution in Tobago. You understand? So I am not going to be surprised, if Watson wins Tobago East, and he's putting on a good show, a very, very good show, And this is probably the season in the world for leaders of the character of Mr. Joe.
Fighter, yeah, we need a fighter. We need people who gonna put people before politics. That's what it is.
You see what is happening. I think globally, the world population, and I'm speaking at that level, globally, the world population is fed up and disenchanted in what I will call the political establishment of the past.
Yes.
And that is the reason why you have leaders like Donald Trump and Boris Johnson and the crazy man down in Brazil and a whole man down in Europe down there, because people are looking for something other than what they have known over the last 50, 60 years, where democracy and free market system have failed them, and they have not been impacted in any positive way by the political establishment of the past. So they are looking for a disruptive type of leader who will status quo. And it's a deliberate global development that we have to pay attention to. And that's why, and that is one of the reasons why I can put my hand on the pulse and say that is one of the reasons why Watson is performing so well, because Watson fits that kind of whole disrupted leader, very, very disrupted leader.
Allie Gee, that you wasn't able to sit in the panel with, she's saying she wants to say something to you.
I want to ask good night, Ansel. So glad to have you here. Anslem.
Yes.
So nice to have you here. I have a question. I have maybe like 2 questions for you. Since you're on the ground in Tobago and you're seeing, the type of support that the PDP is having, I've been following the PDP and I must say that their movement to me seems magical. The people of Tobago are coming out and they're saying, it's time for a change. So here's my question for you, being that you're on the ground. can you say, or can you give us your opinion on why Tobago is embracing a change that Trinidad and Tobago is not embracing? Because in Trinidad, we have many more parties that are running for elections, right? And we are not seeing the groundswell for these other parties, the third parties, right? Even though there are some that claim that they have, 40,000 plus people supporting them, but we are not seeing that. We are not seeing it in motorcades. We are not seeing it in any type of, what do you think is the difference between the people in Tobago who have embraced change in the form of Mr. Watson, Duke, and the PDP that is not happening in Trinidad?
All right, that's a very easy one. The Tobago electorate is a much more sophisticated electorate than the electorate in Trinidad. And let me tell you, we have endured over 40 years of struggle, political struggle in Tobago for a right to self-determination. And that is in our DNA. We will fight any government, but we have been fighting, and I use that deliberately. We have been fighting the government in Port of Spain for over 50 years. For right, and that have passed on from generation to generation. So what is playing out in Tobago is that DNA, that political DNA in the electorate of Tobago, to challenge any system and to walk away and say, we will not stand for this. We want change. So while Trinidad had a very sober and settled political culture, because they are our colonizers, and you all have been very calm and entertaining and contented in Trinidad with the status quo. We in Tobago have always been fighting against the status quo. It played out itself in Tobago, both at the national and local level. And if you go back to the THA, you will see how the reality of that has played out, how we have changed and changed. The PNM have been able to change the culture somewhat because they have been able to come in and they have benefited from immense allocation from Port of Spain after the dispute resolution, and they were able to construct strategically a voters bank by using the lower end of the employment strata.
Anslem,
on that sweet water string.
Hey, Anslem. Yes. Mama Coco want to say something that will shorten your answer. Yes. Tobago, we do not have racist politics. And in Tobago, we don't have tribalism. What we have in Tobago is each one know each one too much. And each one of us, we believe we know each other business too much. That is all we have in Tobago. Trinidad have race war politics. They have tribalism politics. They have who better than whom.
So we're talking about classism versus
racism, everything in Trinidad. We don't have that in Tobago. What we have in Tobago, no, we really don't have that in Tobago. We don't even have 1%, although we have some little 1%, but the 1% is 3-4 families.
Oh yeah,
1%. How much? 0.1%. We ain't have Trinidad. You understand me? So the answer gonna be easier. You understand me? Trinidad have rich political war. Trinidad have donors that have money. Tobago people have to fight for themselves. And who running against PNM have to find their own money. They've been questioned, but PNM does use some kind of force. They have their monies. Other parties not questioning them. Where are they getting all your money for all them big trucks? Where are they getting money for all that eat food? Where are they getting all that money to give people stuff now when people suffer for 4 years? So that's what we have in Tobago. A gentleman on the show named Arlon John, he has something to say to you.
All right.
Good night, Anslem. There's Alon here.
Yes.
I will come in here. About 2 years or 3 years back, when PNM had their sports day, right? It was held in Tobago. And from that time, I observed the people. First of all, the people of Tobago know what they want and where they want to go. That's the difference between Trinidad politics and Tobago politics. Tobago mean business, while Trinidad, we still backward as a people, sorry to say that, but Tobago mean business. Them know what they want. 2 or 3 years back, it had a sports day, the PNM had a sports day in Tobago. And from there I was watching the people of Tobago was done disappointed in the PNM because most of us who come up from Trinidad and went to that sports in Tobago is who really make up that sports day in Tobago. From that time, the people of Tobago, they done start to show disappointment. It come like they send Sampa down and Ayana to do a job, and they ain't do the job they was looking forward for them to do. So from there, I was seeing a disappointment with the people of Tobago. Tobago want better men.
Anslem, this gentleman, he used to work, he was a staunch PNM, as we would say. He supported PNM, he campaigned. He even had people change their residence. You understand me? That's true?
Yeah, it is.
Change their residence address just to get to vote, because they used to vote where they used to live first. But then they opened up a project, and a lot of people moved there, including you, got a home there. So you guys are supposed to change your resident address in order to get to vote for this special area, San Fernando, what? East.
East, yeah.
So he used to work with who used to work for who? You don't have to call the name.
No, I could call the name. It
Call
has
the
nothing
name.
in calling him. I was working with Randall Mitchell.
So when he said he went to Tobago, and he said that all the crowd in Tobago was them who came from Trinidad. And he recognized at that time that the people of Tobago was already changing their mind about PNM.
Yeah, the only reason PNM is surviving in Tobago, Mama Coco and brothers and sisters, is the fact that they control the THA and they can give people handouts and they are holding people ransom to their employment. The THA is currently employing over 70% of the persons employed on the island. And that's a disaster in any emerging democracy or any emerging where government is employing so many persons. That's doing and I'm sure that this is not no news. What they have been doing over the years, and more so under the Orville London administration, they threaten you that if you don't support them, you can't work in Tobago. Like the THA is the major spender and the major employment. So a lot of Tobagoans have called to that and are afraid to really challenge the status quo. And that's why they are surviving. But deep in the hearts and minds and spirit of Tobagoans, they have an issue with how the PNM has managed and continues to manage the island's affairs. Let me tell you something, Mama Coco. The Orville London administration has spent over $1 billion. $1 billion on one project in Tobago. And it is doing absolutely nothing for the people of Tobago. That big, I just call it the water tank in Shaw Park.
It looks like a water tank.
They're rotting down now, nothing happens there. It earns nothing and attracts a huge maintenance bill annually. Over $1 billion. How could any leader who has the smallest level of understanding of socio-economic development in a small island like Tobago take $1 billion, over $1 billion, and spend it on one project?
Wow.
That has nothing, that generates no revenue, no activities, nothing for the people of Tobago.
And the land is moving, I understand, I heard.
Mama Coco, we have a situation in Tobago where the Auditor General report states that the THA reported that they had $245 million in a bank account in reserve. And when they asked for the banking information, the THA could not provide the bank account. When the world that happens,
Where in the world that happens?
That you have $245 million in a that is in the report.
That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous, and no one is investigating them. No, and that is what hurt me with Keith Rowley. When he get into power, that was already a crime. And he did nothing about it but to lift up Harvey London and send him away to England, and lift up Tracy Davidson, who was in tourism, the head of tourism, and send her away to Costa Rica. No one is speaking about these things. How can you give them 5 more years? What Shamfa did for Tobago? Let us hear from Brother Ramjohn. Brother Ramjohn, you have any question for Anslem while we can hear him?
Hi, Mama Coco. No, not really. No questions to answer. You know, I think he's on the ground and he's reading everything that he's seeing happening out there, and I tend to agree with him with his analysis. Tobago is a different, a different approach to the politics there. Trinidad, unfortunately, is caught up in the
Yes.
racist classes, you name it.
Sexist.
It's just stupid. Yeah, it's stupid in Trinidad. They get led around by people who play them knowing what tune they like to dance to. That's all it is. Tobago is a lot more discerning in that.
So brother Dexter, do you have any question for Anslem while we have him? Unmute yourself.
I think that my question was answered because I was going to ask the question, do you think that you had 2 representatives under the People's National Movement? Do you think Tobago benefited?
If Tobago benefited from the 2 representatives under the PNM?
Yes.
Well, Tobago has not. Let me tell you something. And let me just give you a little insight into my background. I function as the policy advisor to Harvey London for 7 years. I wrote budgets. I was his policy and security advisor for 7 years. As head of the PRADI. And I'm on the ground in Tobago. And yes, there have been some activities on the island, and probably they can be attributed to Shamfa and probably Webster Roy. And you will hear the flagging the police station and the hospital in Roxborough and all of that. But these are projects that have been outstanding since I was a primary school student.
Me too.
So there's nothing for me to celebrate where those things happen, right? But the fundamental achievement and progress that I'm looking for is really for those persons who we sent to Port of Spain. And when I say sent to Port of Spain, because they go down there to speak on behalf, because all of us, the 55,000 to be going out, and 60,000 of us can't go to the parliament. So we have to select representatives to go with the message from Tobago. And I think the message from Tobago is really anchored in our right to self-determination. This is 2020, and we cannot be living on an island where all the major decisions of the island is made. A woman and has his home, and his father still making all the decisions, whether he should eat chicken Sunday or whether he should eat fish.
Yes.
And I have not heard Shamfa, no Iana Webster Roy made any argument in the parliament to advance that issue of Tobago's internal self-government. They promised that in the manifesto that it's going to happen in the first 100 days. We are at the end of 5 years, and Dr. Rowley is saying that the bill is before some judge say they come. And he can't do nothing. But in 2013, when this issue came on the manifesto of the PP government, and they acted on it between 2010 and 2013 and took a bill to the back, Dr. Rowley spoke and walked out. He didn't see the need for him to say, well, okay, you have promises to the people of Tobago, you have come to the parliament with a bill, let us work this bill through, I have some ideas, or the PNM have some ideas, let us urge them and come up with something for Tobago. He spoke and work out because they continue to play the politics with the lives of people. So until either Webster Roy or any PNM representative and Champ Joe can go down in Port of Spain and stand up as man and woman and articulate decisively for the people of the people on that fundamental issue. Let me tell you something. This is a fundamental right.
Yes, it is.
Mismanage ourselves. Our right to self-determination to the extreme is a right to mismanage ourselves. We don't want nobody in Port of Spain to tell us whether we want a 2 acres airport terminal and all kind of nonsense. Let Tobagonians decide that. And that is a fundamental issue for me. I have told Orville London, we were doing the comprehensive economic development plan. And I told them that committee was put together by Manning. I was on that committee. I was part of that plan. And I told them in the meeting, they say I'm a radical. I said, let me tell you something. The fundamental issue that is stymieing Tobago development is this constitutional construct where Port of Spain and the cabinet make every decision for Tobago. And if we can't articulate the need for that to be rectified, in this plan wouldn't mean anything and nothing will happen. And so, Cesar, there are 2 versions of the plan. Tobago economic and social development is still an outstanding issue after 20 years of a PNM government in Port of Spain and a PNM government in Tobago. So what is there for us to celebrate?
Nothing. And what I'm saying, she calling the hospital her baby. There was no plan in their manifesto for the past 5 years about any hospital for Roxborough. I don't know if you used to follow me yet on live. I was clamoring for 4 years for a hospital for Roxborough, a must. I even named all the people that died from Charlottesville on their way to Scarborough. How many babies were born? An ambulance capsized and killed the mother and baby on the way rushing to Scarborough. So I don't know how she could say that is her baby. But anyway, we have Allie Gee want to say something before we move on to another question. Unmute yourself.
Answer my last question that I'll be putting towards you is this. In another live somewhere I was looking, someone who's obviously a PNMite said that the government had consultation with the homeowners that will be removed or relocated for the terminal. My question is this, because I have got to understand that in Trinidad and Tobago, the word consultation has a very different meaning. Did they tell the landowners what will be going down? Or did they ask the landowners for their input in what should go down? What was the consultation that actually occurred? Do you know?
Well, let me tell you this. At this particular point in time, not even the PNM Control House of Assembly knows what is going to be built on that 82 acres of land. And the fact of the matter for me is not the consultation, is the process.
Mm-hmm.
The process. And once the process is rancid from the beginning, the whole thing spoiled.
That's right. If your coconut rancid, your sweet bread spot.
It is fundamentally obscene, utterly obscene, for any government in Port of Spain to decide that they're going to take 82 acres of land. 82 acres of land, you know.
That's a lot of airport. It look like
point out to me which airport in the world, which terminal in the world, we have a runway already that accommodated the largest aircraft and flight solution.
Wow.
Which airport in the world terminal is sitting on 82 acres of land? This is ridiculous. And let me tell you why. In 2006, the then Prime Minister, Patrick Manning, came to Tobago and turned this up to construct a new airport terminal in Tobago for $100 million. At the time, I was the coordinator of the PRDI, the head of the policy research. You know? And I attended the function at the airport. And it did not involve that 82 acres of land, and it did not require that 100 plus family to move. My question to Mr. Rowley and the PNM government in Bonus Bay, what has happened between 2006 and 2017 or 2020? Let us cut it at 2020. That requires Tobago to give up 82 acres of land, remove over 100 families for an airport terminal to be constructed. A fundamental.
It is.
It is an
Sister
views of Tobago.
Anslem, I just want to, as you raise that, I want to say something that I've also heard on the ground in Tobago. I heard that the homeowners, their properties, the value of their properties, they're being offered half and less than what the property was valued by the government. Have you heard anything of that?
Of course, and there is an organization that is led by Ms. Hackett called Peace that has been trying to mobilize the affected homeowners and landowners to ensure that they get adequate and fair market price compensation for their properties. But you see, you can't fight the state. You don't have the resources to fight the state. And these matters are very complicated, technical matters, especially when you have the acquisition of land laws, where the government can acquire land for public purposes. What should have happened? And it's something I have called for, and it's something that we had recommended when we were talking about internal self-governance. We should have an office in Tobago and in Trinidad called the Public Defender Office, headed by a senior counsel, funded by the state. So like matters like these, the public defender who defends the interests of the public can take up this matter and protect and act on behalf of the landowners and the owners, because they don't have the money to fight this state. Because this is like a fight, like you're fighting Goliath, When the state mobilizes resources against you as a citizen, you are crushed.
But does Trinidad and Tobago, even if this was to become into being, does Trinidad and Tobago truly have the level of transparency in government where the Office of the Public Defender will fight for the people? Because right now there are people who are saying that the PDP was at DPP, right? The Office of the Public Prosecution is not acting in the best interest of the people. So really, do we need to go to something that's even deeper than just creating offices? Do we have the accountability and transparency in government that would allow for these offices to do their work without interference of political affiliation?
That is America thing, That is America thing you talking about there, Allie Gee.
Well, Mama Coco, we done. Party done. Party done.
Brother Anslem, we have Deokie Ramjohn. I don't know if she has anything to ask you, because we're gonna move on to our other question, because Anslem, you on the ground in Tobago, but you know as much politics of Trinidad. But today we want to get you to understand that we have you as our only Tobagonian that living there. So once we talk in politics of Tobago, keep your phone ready and get ready to call in again. So,
all right, okay.
Hold on. Deokie, can you unmute yourself?
Good night, Brother Anslem. Thank you for fighting that good fight and keep doing what you're doing. It's very sad to know that in the 21st century, that Tobago airport situation is still ongoing. Because I remember about 10 years ago going to Tobago, coming out the aircraft, rain was falling. My family and I got soaked as soon as we came off the aircraft and had to walk in puddles of water trying to get to the terminal. And if I were to return to Tobago today, it would be that same situation. So what has changed? Nothing has changed. For me, the only thing that I'm seeing is that as time goes by, the cost to do that new airport, it keeps going up and up. So I just think it's a money issue.
Whoa, Anslem, let me give her a round of applause because it may seem weird, but to really land in Tobago, I know it. And you have to walk that distance, even with me who have to use a wheelchair sometimes because of the speed and how you have to rush and how you are being treated besides being soaked. And they spend millions of dollars to renovate that airport a few years ago. Talk to us, Anslem.
Yeah, they renovate most of the Tobago departure launch. There's definitely a need for an upgrading or / the reconstruction of a new airport terminal that present to us modern facilities. You know, the connected, I just call it the fingers that you connect and all of that, right? And even pathways that are covered that, you know, reduce the exposure of passengers to the elements of the weather when the weather is favorable for that kind of walking and all of that. But the fact of the matter is, it still remains that whether we really need this huge terminal, do we have the throughput traffic to maintain and sustain such massive 82-acre project? I don't know what they are building, you know, but and the kind of price tag that you are hearing. The fact of the matter is that could we build a terminal that is conducive to expansion as the demand grows for more space and all of that? Because you see, right now, and more so post-COVID, you are in a situation where Trinidad and Tobago is challenged by resources, by revenue, more so because of the collapse of oil prices, because of the shutting down of the global economy and all of that. Do we build a modern facility? And when I say modern doesn't mean it bigger and it better, you know. Modern means an appropriately constructed facility with all the modern amenities that will make life and comfort to our visitors and our traveling domestic population what it should be. And that's really the issue. I have no argument with the fact that we need a modern airport today. But do we need 82 acres of land and the replacement or the displacement of 100 and plus families for that to happen? That's really where the issue. And I think the airport terminal project has been outstanding for too long. Because as I said before, the sun was still in 2006. I 14 years ago. Nothing happened. I don't know where the $100 million went.
I really don't know, and I believe that money passed, you know. But we're gonna talk about that. Stay on the line, my dear brother. So much deep information that we really need, and we really need to know. We really need to know.
I'm here with you.
Yeah, so stick around there. Sometimes questions from management does really throw me off. But right now we are here with Bernadette Lucy. She has a question there, but we have a question to the panel. Can we get the question? Can we get the question for the... Welcome to Dr. Real. Dr. Real is coming on. Hey, you know, he can't see. He can't. I love it. Come on, boss. Come on, Mr. O'Souna. Mama Coco,
good night to the panel. Good night, Allie Gee, Dexter Roberts, my brother from Tobago, Arlon John. Arlon John smiling, yes? Wow. Mr. Ramjohn, how are you doing, sir? Miss Deokie.
Are you okay, brother?
Good night.
Tobago.
Redo, what happened, boy?
Allie Gee asked you why you back down here. He was scared.
Dr. Real, what going on? I thought I would see any flesh, man. I only hearing your voice. What happened? What happened?
I have a little medical issue that I can't really use the light too much.
Okay. You was watching something too close.
No.
Allie Gee, stop it.
But what I could say is for Tobago, I think Tobago has always been treated like a second-class citizen for the longest while. And Tobagonians have been taken for granted. And I think it's because the past leaders, the past leadership of the PNM see Tobagonians as docile, as, non-reactive, and they are glutton for punishment in a sense, because for the longest while, Tobago has more or less been as PNM stronghold, with the exception of in the 80s when the NAR rather, were the ANR Robinson and the NAR, they would have pioneered thereat. And I think that I am glad to see change in Tobago, but my brother, I'm also hearing on the ground that people are using the dirty politics to discredit the PDP, and I'm very disappointed, because if we look in everyone's closet in politics, there are a lot of skeletons in everybody's closet.
A whole cemetery.
You understand? So no one, according to Pandey, no one could escape unscathed in terms of looking in the closet for people's skeletons. So for Dr. Keith Rowley to come out and speak about Watson Duke, when he himself has a past and numerous allegations were made and continue to be made. Recently, there's one that's circulating where Ian Allen is doing an interview with a young lady and her mom, right? And the ghastly, the very unthinkable things. And
with the girl that was 17 years old?
Yes, correct. And the thing is, I heard someone raise it earlier, when they talk about the dirty politics that has been played. I call it nasty. Because when you have a women's league that could look at something like that and not address it, then it speaks to a sort of bias that, you should change your women's league name to just a league. Because you can't be a women's league and you have a man standing up on a platform casting aspersions on women characters at left, right, and center, making loose statements. You understand? This man continues to be a philanderer in the worst way. He embarrasses us as a prime minister. And no one stands up to him. No one asks him to give an account of his behavior. From inviting a member of the media for a drink way back in 2017, right? To present day. It's sickening and disgusting, just to say the least. And to see that the gutter mentality has made its way into politics, and this is the nastiest political campaign I've ever seen in my life. It's disgusting to turn on your radio and hear the horrific things that are being spewed via the airwaves, to hear the amount of political advertisements. You hear advertisements more than you hear music on the radio now. It's really, really disheartening and disgusting. And I remember as a child, in 1986, I was going to school for the first time to, as we used to call it back then, big school. Right, with my blue shirt and my khaki pants. And I sat at the back of a pickup with this lady who used to take us to school, where she had seats in the back of the pickup and so on. And I heard that NAR won the election. And that's how I knew that there was an election. Because there were no big set of banners and music trucks and all this noise back and forth. Back then we didn't have a radio in our house. So, it was word of mouth. Most of the news used to spread by word of mouth. And to know that has evolved into this is really distasteful. And I think the heavens are crying down too, because I saw three lampposts fell on PNM trucks. I was in San Fernando today and privy to Mr. Brian Manning's motorcade. And I want to tell you something, Alan. I want you to hear me and hear me good. You see the propaganda that goes on the platforms, that is backed up by these large motorcades. Motorcades don't say anything. People coming out in their numbers to support a motorcade don't say anything. Let me tell you why. Because there's no motorcade on Monday morning, right? And nobody is allowed to display or to show any type of discrimination against or for any party.
Except me.
So when you go in that voting booth, brother, forget all the propaganda, forget all the dirty politics, and forget all the BS that they try to create in your mind. Remember, psychological warfare is the strongest level of warfare. Because before you defeat a man in the flesh, you can defeat him in his mind.
Yes. Break
right?
his spirit,
So,
yes.
So mind and spirit and soul. That is what they're working on with you, Alan. They want you to believe that everybody is all for PNM. Let me tell you something. I saw a motorcade in Santa Flora today that had about 100 cars. And I want to know something. When I look at the 100 cars, I see a single person from Santa Flora. So they're picking up people at the side of the road and paying them X amount of dollars. And I even saw a Petrotrin ex-employee in the motorcade, right? And you know what? I was just like you, Alan. I got caught up in a trap because I saw PDR 536 and I was like, why this man will be in this motorcade? Now he had a mic on his car, and I'm like, wow, you just lost your job at Petrotrin and you supporting this? So I called another partner who is a mutual friend of both of us, and you know what he said to me? He said he's being paid $1,000 a day to be there. I'm saying, if that is the way they do it, you cannot allow yourself to be caught in that entanglement, right? That entrapment to give you that psychological sense of loss in your mind is enough to make you vote for the red. Because at the end of the day, that's all they have. Because they have no policies. Their manifesto sucks. They again, when you look at the track record, and this is what I was saying today in a live earlier, I said, people that are in government, there should be a rule that prohibits them from campaigning. You know why? You just had 5 years to campaign, right? You had 5 years to show the people what you're made of. You had 5 years to prove to the people that you deserve another 5 years. So for you now to campaign, and then you have access to the treasury. So it means that there's no line of demarcation with your spending power towards a campaign. So we saw people suffer.
No, Allie Gee. No, Allie Gee. Dexter before you. Dexter before Allie Gee.
We saw people suffer for COVID-19, and now we're seeing campaign money jumping out left, right, and center. And loose hands, loose fingers when it comes to campaign finance. The rules of campaign finance are not being adhered to. And especially now more than ever. Go ahead, Dexter.
Dr. Real, we have Dexter here with his finger was up. I don't know if he still has a question because you asked him.
I was just supporting. I realized that probably he heard what I said earlier on.
Yes, he heard you.
The Women's League with people with Camille Richards Robinson, not even in support.
Yes, correct.
Supporting that where they're pulling women down, and she, as the head of the Women's League, did not even lift a finger to say, women, you can't do that. I remember in 90-something Eastern All saying women rising, but she said women must respect themselves first, right? And if you could stand on that platform, you had a platform in St. James where you had about 6 of your high-power women speaking, and you all pulled down Kamala Bissard like a dog. You pulled down Michelle Benjamin like a dog. You talk about Arlon John like a dog. What level? How low could you go? How low could you go?
Arlon John, well, Dr. Real was hitting you on your statement. So can you rebut?
Mama Coco and Dr. Real. Dr. Real is my good friend. I really like him. I follow all his lives. I love. But this one, Dr. Real, I really disagreeing with you on this one. Here I telling you. 2 seats. I want to give you a better Mama Coco life tonight. 2 seats that declined very early in this election. You see, Kamala Bissard seat and San Fernando his seat. Them 2 seats, I telling you, take it from me tonight. If I ever tell you anything, Chappelle, those are the 2 seats that will declare the winners on that night earliest. Remember,
are they betting money? Are they betting money? Because I want to get involved. Are they betting money?
Well, let me respond to Arlon John in this way. One, you're absolutely right about Superior, and you might be right about San Fernando East. And it's disappointing to see that people, people. Now, well, I just deal with facts, right? And the fact is, the election has not been conceded. So we could only speculate at this point. But what I could tell you is that Brian Manning should be ashamed of himself for the move that he's making. Because for him to openly support Keith Rowley, who blatantly said right, that he went to Lekoto, and it has been plastered all over social media, right? And he got rid of Patrick Manning. To know that he would have said that in an open forum, and Brian Manning could say, here what? I joined in the PNM under Keith Rowley. That says something about the integrity of Brian Manning. And Patrick Manning might be turning in his grave as we speak. Brian Manning, as far as I know him, used to be a gambler and an alcoholic, right? Because whilst I worked at Petrotron, he used to ask for a free pass, right? Because he was trying to shake off people who, when he win a little money in the casino, he used to shake off people that tailing him and so on home. Additionally, it has been said in the PNM circles that his father wanted to shut down the entire gambling establishment, all the gambling establishments all over Trinidad and Tobago because of him. Because he used to gamble out his salary, he used to gamble out, he always gambling money. So to see him as a politician now, I'm
don't
like,
laugh, Arlon, don't laugh.
Can I expect? What can I expect? I know him personally that way, and I'm telling you, I have spoken to him several times, and he was pissed drunk. So when we talking, when we start to throw shade, right? This is the type of thing that we promoting, and we throwing shade at others for the same thing. So where's the line of demarcation? When we gonna stop this nonsense? And I think Brian Manning was a wild card that the PNM is using to appeal to the empathy of the people in San Fernando East.
Exactly.
They want to immortalize the name Manning.
Who cheering that? Who cheering that?
But
to get the people to be moved in a special place, as I say, spiritual warfare. You understand? Psychological warfare. And that is what they're using. Because they had no other way of winning that San Fernando East seat. Right? And people have said, and there's a video circulating on social media, and Arlon John, you should probably scroll down my page and check it out. How the residents feel about Brian Manning. Setting up people at several spots along the motorcade to come out in a red jersey, that is a strategy. And you shouldn't be caught. Now, the thing is, it might be a close race, you know. But because of what they already brainwashed you to believe, you might know that, and you might lean to the side of least resistance. You might go down the broad path. Because in your mind, you say, PNM don't win already, better I just vote for them, because my vote for any other party is a waste of time. And that is the brainwashing that they continuously fill our heads with. And they keep talking about splitting the votes and all that nonsense. I want to know what happened in 1986 when NAR came and made a whitewash after never being in any significant role before that. And these are the things I want Trinbagonians to be very
wait. You trying to tell me that ANR, that NAR won that seat before?
No, I'm saying that they came from behind and won the race.
Oh, okay.
And I'm
so
saying
nobody ever win. Nobody besides PNM ever win San Fernando East.
No.
Exactly.
Correct.
They never lose.
Correct.
But they almost lost because Manning won that seat in 86 by 68 votes. It was a very narrow margin to Merle Stevenson. It was very narrow.
And that was about to repeat itself this time around. And that is what the PNM fear. So they dig out Brian Manning and say, hey, boy, here what's going on? Run for ting. Then we deal with this.
Wow.
And you fall for it.
So why he calling Kamala business officer? Because she's a woman, she can't drink and get drunk, and you pick up a drunkard to run? What is going on in Trinidad?
Correct.
This double standard, snake-like politics.
No, well, the thing is, Mama Coco, what you have seen happening is it is wrong when you do it. But when I do it, it could be a mistake, or it could be overlooked. Because look at it.
Look,
If anyone from the UNC or any other party make a comment about any female,
Mr. Arlon want to come back. That's your friend, you know. So this battle here, because it's the two of us would have been, it's three of us would have been answering questions about the election fight down, you know, and the three of you, him, and you, Dexter, and him would have been the one to speak about Mr. Nikolai, who it seemed like Arlon doesn't think he has a chance.
No, well, he's San Fernando West.
West.
I know what I am talking about. When I call people to interview them, I ask them questions. So right now we can't keep the show on one level. We want Mr. Arlon John to tell you right now, because we have another question here. And I want you to stay on the line, Mr. O'Souna. I want Anslem to stay on the line. I want to bring back Mr. Ramjohn. And we want to get this show rolling. So can we get a break right now where Allie Gee and others can get a little drink of water? Or do we ask this question first? Ali and Deokie, as women observing the TNT are going on, the TNT election campaigns, what specific gender-based issue have you seen discussed well or poorly? Sister Ramjohn.
I haven't really seen anything discussed at length. Gender-based has been mentioned here and there, but nothing of real substance. And it's very important because in the 21st century, we're living in a time where it's 50-50. Men work as hard and women work as equally. Look at a woman who is a wife, a mother, a sister, a daughter, and also an employee. She has to do all of those routines and go to work, put in her hours, come home, do that routine over again. I understand, guys, no offense, that you don't have all of those things to do. And there are some single fathers, there are some single mothers, vice versa. But in terms of judging a woman who have all these responsibilities and also is gainfully employed, there's no equal opportunity there. What about having childcare in the workplace? Something as simple as that to help women out during the day. What about equal pay and equal rights? We're constantly talking about equal pay and equal rights, but it's just talk. Who's actually putting it into action? Doesn't matter what you do, women are not being treated equally in the workplace. I'm hearing lots of issues about this women's league. Who is the leader of that entire party? The woman is not going to stand up or say anything to support other women, despite having very powerful women at her side, because her leader is not a woman. And at the end of the day, her employment and paycheck is all that matters. So she is not going to speak out or speak against her leader. And we all have to understand that. But she ought to, because if she wants to stand up and support women and do the right thing, you have to speak up. Sometimes doing the right thing doesn't get you public recognition, you know.
Or trendy.
Right. She may
Doing
very
the
well
right
speak
thing
up.
too expensive.
You're very right. She may very well speak up and be without a job, but at least she would have stood up for something.
Allie Gee, very well done, Deokie, because you even mentioned equality and childcare, but then we need to get into like the different needs of children, and no one is talking. We haven't heard anything. We don't know what they're gonna do next 5 years. Allie Gee, the same question is yours.
I agree 100% with Deokie. Nothing that addresses issues that women deal with on a daily basis has been addressed. Actually, nothing has been addressed except Kamala Teef. You know, it's been a bacchanal campaign that has not spoken on anything of merit or material. And sadly, you know,
Winston?
There's a saying, you get the government you deserve.
Come on
the people have not asked.
I just lose everything.
More.
Anybody hearing me?
Yeah, we hear you very well.
We're hearing you.
The people have not demanded
Yeah, the lights
anything
went.
of their parties. And as such, the parties have not complied. You know, they haven't addressed a prevalent situation in Trinidad and Tobago. Domestic violence. How many women are killed every year in Trinidad and Tobago because of domestic violence? Listen, it's pregnant silence on this issue. We just had a woman being killed by her spouse, her common law spouse, who was a police. What has the Women League said about that? Where's her mantra? Where are the political parties? Nobody has said anything. Let's talk about women health care. Has that improved in Trinidad and Tobago? Women are still dying after having healthy pregnancies, right? There's so many things that could be addressed and the population should be demanding. But when you have a population that thinks campaigning is who have the best song, who could give me a jersey, and who could what did I say, rock and come in the best? I mean, when will they ever address issues that pertain to women health, women pay, employment, salary? There's nothing like Ravi Ramdin is saying, no issues, no LGBTQI, nothing. There's so many things that women are facing today in Trinidad and Tobago, and especially with the COVID and the scene, it makes it even worse. Go ahead, Deokie.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but what about sexual harassment? I personally know of a high-profile case relating to sexual harassment that has not been resolved today. It's just been back and forth, and they've just been avoided the problem. Now, if these situations were reversed and a woman sexually harassed a man, I'm pretty sure she would have lost that position a very long time ago. And to think about it too, what about we elected a prime minister? We didn't elect a deputy prime minister. Have you seen any woman in the current government be allowed to act as prime minister even for 1 minute for the past 5 years?
Why? And Deokie, we have a woman president, and she is silent in the face of so many issues that Trinidad and Tobago faces. I mean, sometimes when she pops up, I'm like, where is this? Who is this person? Who's Paula again? People have to remember, I say president, they say, oh, I forget. Because she is mute. So when we look at the campaigning, we hear nothing that relates to women issues. In Trinidad and Tobago, victims are re-victimized because everybody turns on women and says she look for it, or she only saying that because she want a position or she want the man. You hear the man don't want you. There is nothing of essence that's being addressed in this campaign. And for the last 5 years, no policy that really advances women issues has been passed and or enforced. We still have women being murdered by their partners, and they are being blamed for staying. As the Prime Minister said, pick your man better. You're not in your bedroom. Pick your man carefully.
Please.
Well, as a man, I would like to interject and categorically state that we as a society have been very encouraging, right, of these men who are very sexual, predatorial. Is that the word? Predatorial?
Predator.
Yeah. On women. And it has gone from, it has started, you know, in a small way, and it's in a big way now. Because you have people running for office who are, you understand, who are known to be predators. And I'm saying a woman should be allowed to go in the workplace and, as they rightfully said, not be sexually harassed.
Have we lost Brother O'Souna?
Oh, he's there.
Yeah, I'm here. I think that women should be entitled to go into the workplace and work just as good as men, be paid, and not be victimized because of their stand. Not because women choose not to open their legs. Men should have the authority and the autonomy to victimize them, and it has happened over and over again. There are people vying for political office and they're preying on the women in the party. You understand? Why is it that it's so difficult to report a rape? Why is it that women are brought under so much screening, right? Just to make a report a rape. that in itself presents a difficulty for women to even come forward. So if a man attempted to rape them, they're not bothering with that because the scrutiny, the intense scrutiny that they come under just because they made that report, it's really astronomical and very discouraging, you know? So,
Redo, I don't know if you heard of, I was listening to a news caster, Skippy Barrington, and on his show, he was saying that a very high-profile lawyer beat his wife. She ran to the police station and someone called, he didn't release the name of the lawyer. Someone high up called the police station and nothing went down. Mind you, there was reports in the book, you know, they're still writing in books in Trinidad. There's a log of the incident, but everything was squashed because a high-profile politician called in the police station, political interference in a domestic violence situation when the police should have been doing their job, but because their boss, sergeant, I don't know, commander said, hey, you can't do nothing. And this is what we face in Trinidad and Tobago. This is an open secret. We all know in Trinidad and Tobago, you could do what you want as long as you know who have trains.
Yes, and that I have seen it happening even in Petrotrin. As an estate constable, I knew an estate constable who was beating his wife, and she actually ran from Guayakara Park into the police station, and they covered that up because of who he was. He was a good detective as far as they're concerned. In my opinion, he's a poor detective because he raped that woman, he beat that woman, he had that woman running barefoot while he was driving behind her, attempting to run her over. And these are the type of things that goes unnoticed, you understand, and unannounced in Trinidad and Tobago. How can I live in a society like that and accept that type of thing? How can you tell me as a man or woman look for rape? How can you justify that? And for way too long, we've been accepting that, and we have not spoken about it. We have not dealt with it. And I am very, very, very adamant that people who these allegations are made against should be properly investigated. Because too often we have people who pretend to be a Dr. Jekyll in public and a Mr. Hyde in private. And these men prey on women. So many victims of all type of sexual assault and all type of sexual offenses have gone unheard, and so many perpetrators have gone unpunished.
I really don't know what's happening.
It's unthinkable that as a society we have not made any inroads thereat, and domestic violence should be seconded in this regard as well, because groups like Womantra and Women's League groups, they should be capitalizing on these things. They should be pounding that tarmac until these things get done. Because for far too long, women have been sexually harassed, molested, assaulted, and, you know, it's just been swept under the carpet.
But
I think there should be clear lines. You have, listen, you have persons in high police office now who, police officers told me that is their boss now, but they would have gone to the home on reports of domestic violence. So, I mean, where does the buck stop?
The buck stops with the people. We have to, you know, my thing is I take everything back to the people because we get the government, we get the governance, we accept. And truly, you know how we say women are women worst own enemies? Sometimes this is what we see because we see a woman as a victim. I remember a situation where a woman claimed to have been raped by a particular person. And you know what turned the person who was asking the questions mind? The other woman who knew about the assault, who told her that the woman was crazy.
Yes.
They said that the woman was crazy. They
victim shaming.
Victim. So when we have women who have been, first, you have to go through so many different levels of degradation. First is telling people around you, you know, the person that is the sweetheart and the chunkolongs, he raped me, and they turn around and they say, nah, you wanted it because you had on a short skirt. And then they have to turn around now and be jailed for that. And when they go to the police station, the police is acting as if they're the perpetrators of a crime. These women take their rape in shame and they take it and cool it and they hide and they cry in the dark.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we have to, we as a society, it is no longer okay for us to say, this woman get raped. We have to now stand up and demand. When these people pass on in the big truck, tell them take off the music. I want to tell you what I want. I don't want no jersey and no flag. Let me tell you what you're going and do. We have to have that type of democracy, not just dipping your finger and then the next day, like David say, you think that's it. Trinbagonians practice what I have coined as lazy democracy. It's all about the campaign and dip your finger, and after that, well, you think they go do what they want you to do. No. You have to make them demand and keep their feet to the fire to make politicians work.
Yes.
Well,
hold them accountable.
Do we have Anslem still on the line?
I think I see him.